PepperCast today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's just really fun always to see you, for sure.
Oh man, yeah, you look freaking amazing. Look at your hair. I haven't seen you blonde before. This is so cool.
It's still like, even when the video comes up and I see myself, I'm like, oh, right, I'm blonde. I keep forgetting.
Do you look at it and be like, oh yeah, like I am badass. This is badass.
It's definitely a lot more fun. I don't know, than I've had it once before, blonde, but it was a little bit longer. So, and I guess, yeah, it's just like super easy to style. And I'm like, I like easy, and I just needed to do something different. And I'm not really gonna like put a ton of time styling my hair. So my hairstylist was just like, well, why don't you just change the color? And I'm like, perfect. We'll just do that.
Yes, I love it.
But definitely this year, I've been a lot better on the whole, taking time off and learning how to rest, and and just trying to put some productivity things in place that make sure when I am working, I'm working effectively. And I have a tendency to multitask and sort of like bounce around in circles. So I'm just being a bit more like, okay, if I'm working, like we're working on this thing and not going to go look at the, it's just like it's so easy to get distracted by, little notifications and things. So that's been, that's been much better this year. I forgot to silence my phone. Let me put that on silent.
Nice.
But that's been better this year. So I feel like I do have more time than I did in previous years, which is because I think it's just hard to, as you go in as a business owner, it's not like there's like a manual or a handbook or something. It's just, you really like learn as you go, and maybe you pick up some educational content along the way, but even know like where to get that from or who's qualified. I mean, it just takes forever to find that stuff. And I think it took me a few years before I was like, okay, kind of got this. Okay, I think I can.
Learning from your peers and like going to workshops, like Let's Go. I know you're a big part of that. You guys are awesome. And just learning from your peers, meeting other friends, making other friends in the industry, and talking about your experiences and what's worked for them. And that just takes time. Some of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest way. I remember before I knew, maybe like the first year and a half, I didn't know any other photographers at all. And I felt really lost. So once I first like actually made some photographer friends who shot in a similar style, and it was just me watching like YouTube videos and being like, wait, but that's, and they're like, don't shoot groups of less than f5.6, and
right,
so those kind of rules.
Yes.
And finding kind of this group that was much more rule breakers. And I feel like that's when I finally started to really learn. I was like, oh, I can shoot this way. Oh, it's about finding what works for you. And I am all about workshops and going to conferences. And that's just, I don't know what I would have done without my first couple years, because it's just such a great way to meet people. Especially when they're overnights or, have multiple days, because you actually have to spend time together with people. And it's just been cool now being on like a little more of the teaching side of it, and then seeing people meet and like have like hardcore like friend groups that have met at workshops, and like a Let's Go, and they like go to conferences together later, and like it's just like, it's really nice to see. And I feel like we all need that support, and to make it's like, wow, I'm not crazy, or if I'm having a hard day, I know there's people there that can help out and
really understand what you're going through, what that feels like, and have really great advice or feedback for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's so true.
I'm really curious because you have your photography business, Catalina Jane Photography, and then you launched your SEO Is Fun business. That was like 2 years ago now?
Yeah, I think that was about 2 years ago when I started to be like, kind of really go for it. And when I started like offering one-on-one help and teaching more at workshops and conferences. And then I translated that all into an online class earlier this year, which was a great transition. But I'm so glad I had that like year and a half of, it was like a boot camp of learning, what teaching methods worked, like what the ways of explaining things would kind of land easier and be better translated. And I'm just so glad I got all that practice. And then was like, okay, going into online class, it's like, this is sort of the the mode and the way to say it and the way to organize things. And but yeah, it's been about 2 years, which
So
is crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, but it was really fun. It was just this like random idea, and I was like, I really want to rebrand this SEO thing. I think everything is just so like it's like techie or outdated, and I was like, I want to make it fun because I find it fun, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make it all bright colors and weird fonts, and yeah, and it has been fun. It's really, I love having. I'm definitely the personality type where I need multiple things going on. I
Mm.
feel like I'm a better photographer because I have SEO as a passion as well, and
Mm.
it helps me from getting almost like having more, at least more variety, helps me from getting burnt out because I
Mm.
can handle a pretty high amount of work, but
It's
I
just
can't.
monotony.
Yeah, I can't handle boredom, and I can't handle
Yeah.
monotony at all.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what really, really gets to me. So it's nice to have both. It's really like in this year, especially like this year being better balanced. Last year I said yes to far too many things. This year has been better, being a little more selective. It's such a point of self-care to say no, and it's totally okay.
And that when you told me that you're more of an introverted person, I was really surprised
Hmm.
also because you are so outgoing and like you really do engage people and bring them in. But how do you manage that energy wise? Like doing all the things that you do, and it is a lot of giving of yourself in
Mhm.
both education and when you're shooting and engaging your couples, running a business, marketing your business. How do you manage that?
Yeah, it's definitely been a learning curve there for sure. I was pretty high anxiety the first few years, just trying to balance it all. And, wedding photography, in those first few years, I mean, it's very performance oriented and you need to interact
Mhm.
with couples and bridal parties and families. But I definitely am not, while introverted, I am not quiet. If you get me going, I'm
Yes.
pretty loud, but more on the introvert side is I get the most of my energy from working alone on projects. And I think that's why SEO was such a great find, is I had this marketing avenue that wasn't, styled shoots and networking events and things like that. Those I had to really push for, but getting kind of nerdy and geeky into something that I could just research and implement and practice by myself was really, that was great. I had so much fun trying to pick it apart and figure it out. And I like hard projects, and it can be a hard thing to learn on your own. So um but yeah, but when it comes to, especially with workshops and conferences, especially when you teach, I really take it as a pretty like not like a heavy responsibility, in that
Mhm.
these people have oftentimes traveled from afar. They've, spent what I know is like dollars that they've been saving, and they're coming for not only learning but for an experience. And I think when people show up at workshops and conferences, they can be really nervous, and they're going into a
Mhm.
brand new environment. So I kind of want to be a total goofball to break that down. And that's a big part of something that was one of in the first Let's Go, that was a big part of the culture, is that we weren't, going to be like, I don't know, just the teachers like sitting off by ourselves, like in
Mhm.
a clique or anything like that. Like we were like, no, we're going to be complete opposite. We're not going to talk to each other basically at the workshop unless we need to. We're going to talk to students. We're going to spend time with them. And when they come through the door, we're going to be playing music and like wear party hats and, give people high fives. And it's just kind of shakes that separation, because that's not existent. Like I'm still
Mhm.
just a wedding photographer, but it's really fun to pass on what took me years to learn, that I learned from so much from my community and my experience there, and just be able to pass it on. But yeah, I think also just living a more balanced life this year has made it so I have the energy, even though it's mid-wedding season, we can still like, I can jump on this call, and then I have a few workshops and stuff that I'll do
Oh
through off
man.
season. But it's great. It's much like this morning I went to the gym and got tacos.
Fuck
So
yeah.
I
That
started
sounds
this
like a
afternoon.
great day.
It was really
Yeah.
nice. I
Well
biked in, it
balanced.
was
Yes.
great. Yeah. And then I started work, and now I'm almost done through editing a gallery, and I'm chatting with you. So
Oh.
yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I get asked that a lot when I mention being introverted, but it's definitely like where my energy comes from. And because I mean, we all know we spend so much time just in our office, like on our computers, like that's like perfect for me. And then the one day a week of going and putting on like the wedding, like really bringing it and bringing that high energy is that's perfect. I have that many days at home, and then can bring it for that stuff.
Do you feel like places like Let's Go just really draws the kind of people that you want to be working with too and engaging with? I feel like when Let's Go, I was there for that very first Let's Go workshop, and I hadn't even heard of one as cool and as fun as that. Do you?
Aww.
Yeah. Do you feel like, I think now that kind of style is becoming more common because they see the success of it and how it really engages people. But have you ever been to a really bad workshop? Really poorly run one, or one that was just not good?
I feel like I've gotten pretty lucky because I don't necessarily, it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm so amazing that I only teach at certain workshops, but often I've just taught at ones with people that are already my friends. And so if
Mhm.
we're already friends, it seems like they put on something, amazing. I've definitely seen brand new workshops always struggle. I mean, it is hard
Yeah.
put on a workshop, and like sometimes I taught at one, and so the plumbing went out in the middle of the night, and all the teachers stayed up till like 2 or 3 in the morning, and we were like in the middle of nowhere. So it was like we just didn't go to bed until it was going to get fixed. But it's like those things happen, and it can be like you have like 25 people that are in this house. But that stuff happens, or maybe like food stuff, it doesn't go exactly right, or catering gets off, but there's all this other stuff happening too. It's a lot to organize. So I really feel like I personally don't think I would ever put on my own in-person workshop unless it was like really small, like one day, like like SEO boot camp or something like that.
You should do that. You should do this.
We'll see. I love my online, but I do my online class. We have a monthly video like hang Q&A, and it's
With
really fun.
all the people that are part of the course?
Hmm.
Okay, well that's cool.
Yeah. So and
That's
again,
cool.
it's online, so I'm not having to like reserve a studio, and that way everyone can just sign in exactly where they're at, and because that way, and it's all like my students for the online class are really like everywhere, so it's nice to. So I was literally like drinking wine on the last one.
Yes. I was like, if this was like a little bit later in the day, I mean, well, it's almost 5. I was like, there should be alcohol involved, like a beer. No,
I
you're like
almost did.
whiskey or something, no?
Yeah. Usually,
Yeah.
I've definitely been more wine lately.
Oh.
But yeah, that makes it. I've thought about doing that, but I really love like the online class. To me, it's so nice because people, and this is one thing that was a little tough on me, like when we were talking earlier on like monotony, like things that are
Mm.
repetitive. With teaching one-on-ones, I was really lucky that it got very popular, but it meant I was doing like 3 to 4 one-on-ones every week.
And probably super similar content and like similar
Almost exact.
questions.
Yeah,
And
all the exact questions. So what's fun is the people that already go to online class, and then they're in this private Facebook group. When we're all talking, we're like on the same page. And so the questions they're asking are like, level 2, level 3. And that's so much fun to talk through. It's always like a new question or direction or strategy. And I learned like that gives me life. Like I do love teaching one-on-ones, but that many, I was like, I feel like I'm just repeating myself. And I'm like, okay, I should just record this. Just
yes.
like
Yes. And then be like, and then now I'm here available for questions afterwards.
yeah, exactly. But I'll have to say, I feel like I for a minute I reached out to like some conferences and workshops that I like didn't know that sounded nice, but I think it's just been more people I've just come into contact with, or people who have been my SEO students in the past that end up putting on workshops that are, yeah, like Gabe Conover.
Mm.
It was one of my SEO students, and just like he's such a great guy, and I watched him. He blogs like like every week, I mean, like a couple times a week, he just like took it and went for it so hard. And so when he started putting on his workshops, I was like, dude, I would love to be involved. Like, you're a real go-getter. I have mad respect for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been more of those connections, and because I don't think just because it's not random, it's been, I feel like I've had a pretty good a good like track record with the ones I've been at. It's always been like logistical things that are usually like out of the control that are just like, okay, we gotta do this. So,
There was a question from Jasmine J Photo, and she wants to know, what's the most important piece of good SEO that I can implement today? That's probably like a really super, like, if you was take away one thing, what would I take away?
and that's that. So if there's a question I'd always want to be asked, that's the question that I always have a bit of like pushback to, because SEO, there's just not one thing, I think, and I totally understand the question. I'm actually going to touch on some things that are like a few things that are important and a few things to think about. But I think, and I totally understand. So Jasmine, I'm not trying to like hang on you. No, because I get asked this question a lot. I think people are looking for this like one thing, and then their SEO is good. And it's, Google has rumored like over 200 ranking factors. And not to be like overwhelming by that, but there's a lot of different factors that go into doing good SEO. So everything you do, whether it is, putting together a blog post, titling things right, getting backlinks, like each one of those is maybe like 1 to 15% of what's going to add up to really great SEO. So you need all of those parts, not just one, not even like the 15%, like if you just get backlinks, but if you don't have any blog posts and content, you don't have a variety of things to rank for. So, and that's why that I am big on, and that's why like I made the online classes, because all of those things are very difficult to learn because on your own, you definitely can. But I did it pretty wrong the first couple of years, because I would like learn a piece and then this other thing would disagree with it. And I'm like going back and forth, and I'm like, and so it's tough. So I understand people are frustrated and just like, just tell me something that helps.
Right. Like, what's the one thing? Like, I just want to implement this one thing today, and I'm going to feel good about myself so I can check it off the list.
Yeah, exactly. So, probably. So the big things I could give is to, one, just sign up for some sort of SEO newsletter. I have one, although it's not that frequent, but if you sign up at the SEO Is Fun account, there's a newsletter. So that would be like 2 weeks of some tips of things you can do. So that's there. But even probably what I'd recommend more is one of the bigger SEO sites like Search Engine Journal, Yoast, Moz, all of these things have their newsletters. And at least if something is popping up into your inbox every day, take a minute, don't just delete it. Take 5 minutes to read an article in that post, because SEO is so much like learning a language. And so the more you expose yourself to it over time, you're going to start recognizing, whereas like I don't know what 404 means or no follow or these things, but after time you're just like, oh, okay, now I know what that concept is. And then when it's in this article, I understand how these things relate to each other. So that's the number one, is if you wanna get good at SEO, it does take time. So sign up for something that's going to give you some little reminders to think about it.
I did read a report recently that it used to be word of mouth was still your number one marketing, then social media, then SEO. But in the last couple of years, is actually SEO is your solid number 2. Like, word of mouth is still the biggest, and then SEO, and then social media. And I think we put a lot of energy into social media. I still think that's a very important tool that we should have.
Yeah, I agree.
But like, don't neglect the SEO. Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, don't be afraid of it. And what's cool with SEO, where I just think the algorithm is really trustworthy, and Instagram I really can't make that much sense of. I know there's people that know it better than me, but Google started to make sense to me pretty quickly. At least I could kind of see what it wanted. But Instagram will change things, and like, some posts get large amount of interaction, some don't, and I know it's much more about having, building an account that's, really great for even a small amount of followers, which I'm just like not. I'm so bad at Instagram, so I'm trying. But
I feel like you're great. I feel like you're great at Instagram.
do
I feel like it looks pretty good.
When I have wine.
That's my editing.
Mhm.
I've been trying to. It's probably too much information for everybody, but I've been trying to not drink alone. My therapist is like, "Hey, Stace, don't go down that road drinking alone." I'm like, "Yes, I never do this. Never.
Yes.
No." But when I'm editing, for me, it's the wine. I like a beer after a wedding or after a
Yeah.
shoot,
Yeah.
and I like beer for social. But when I'm solo, if I'm editing, like I want that wine.
So if there is one important piece, um, actually, I'll give two that get really overlooked. The first one being backlinks. So
Mm-hmm.
backlinks are, whether your work gets featured or you're in a contest or something, anything from getting a reputable website to link to your website, that actually builds like the car engine under your website when it comes to ranking. So maybe if you're a brand new website, you're like a Toyota Corolla, but if you have a website that's, 5 or 6 years old, you have a lot of backlinks, a lot of features, that's like a Ferrari. It's much easier to get to page one when you have a lot of sites backlinking to your own website, because that proves to Google that you are reliable and a reputable website, because Google doesn't want to put a website or any of its blog posts on page one if it's spammy. And there's a lot of new websites created every single day,
Mm-hmm.
and some collect personal information, as we know, like the pop-ups and things like that. And that's, Google doesn't want that. So you need to build trust with Google. So that's the big thing you can do. If there's one thing, a big, big important thing you can work on is get something together to go get some sort of feature or some sort of backlink. Definitely work on those. And then the second thing is definitely text. So your website and your blog posts need to have text. There's no way around that. And I know with photo websites, we tend to like ours very clean and minimal.
Especially like the main page, lots of big, beautiful photos, not a lot of words. You're like, Google doesn't love that.
Yeah, because Google can't really see photos. So it's looking at a site being like, I don't really know what this is. I can kind of see your file names. I can kind of, but you're not explaining anything about your business. Or so, yeah, if there's anything you could do is add text to your homepage and to your blog posts, at least, if you can, 300 words of relevant content to what you're targeting. Those are the two things that I think get forgotten, and even just doing those well will take you far.
And since we're on the question and answer, we do have a couple more
Yeah.
from Catherine Leary. She wants to know, wondering about the renaming of our images for both the client and for social media. So when she's exporting images, she's naming them.
Mm-hmm.
How specific do the names need to be? I find that I'm kind of using the same words over and over. Kamloops is the location she's in, typically being the first word. And should I be using photographer or photography in the file names? Does one make Google happier over the other, or is there no difference?
Yeah, so when it comes to image SEO, there's definitely a few things going on. There's a few layers of things you can do, whether it's your file name, there's also your alt text. So there's some things there. Yeah, so when it comes to your file name for my there's what I export for my clients, and there's what I export for Google. So my clients, I usually just leave as like their names. Maybe I'll put my just Catalina Jean photography or something in there. So that's kind of just for my clients. And then when it comes to Google, and I don't know about social media, if there's a certain export name that works there, that is definitely not what I am great at. But for Google, like I kind of mentioned earlier, is Google can't really see images a little bit. So, and that's probably going to get better in the future. But it definitely won't be able to see that it's like if you were shooting at a specific venue, like a Union Pine wedding, it wouldn't be able to see that. It might be able to see kind of it's a wedding. It may be able to see that it's indoors, outdoors, things like that. But you're going to help. So image SEO really has to do with helping Google understand what's in the image. So whatever you can do to that is really what I would do. So And then when it comes to, and you want to name your images with variety. If they're all in the same blog post, that's fine. They can all be named the same thing. But I'm big on not tacking on a bunch of additional keywords. So I use the alt text to like pizzazz it up a little bit. But so say like Union Pine Wedding, that's a local venue here in Portland that I have a blog post for. And so I just exported my images for Google, just Union Pine Wedding, and then numbered them. The way to do that, the best practice there is to use dashes. So not spaces. So Union Pine Wedding -1. That's just industry standard web tech stuff. And then I in my alt text, I might be like, New Year's wedding at Union Pine in downtown Portland, or, I might describe some things in there. Because alt text you can have a little more fun with. So image file titles, just simply what you're targeting. Just keep it really nice and simple. When it comes to your homepage, I think I put in, probably often named my images like Portland wedding photography, or just things like that. I think I did a variety of different things. So those things don't necessarily like naming those images like Portland wedding photography, I think is, if anything, not going to really help my website rank for that. I have a lot of different other things I'm focusing on for that, but hopefully I can get it in the image search. That's kind of the hope. And maybe, and while I think that image search has a really low click-through rate, it's might as well, if you can do a little something because you're already putting in the effort to maybe you take up some more real estate on Google. That's a good thing. So yeah, keep it short and sweet, keep it to what you're targeting, and use a bit of variety. Using photography, Google has kind of this thing called semantic search. It's gotten really smart. It knows that photography is related to photographer. I think it's good to use a variety of those words, but it's not like a rule. It's more when you do things naturally on your website, when you talk about your business, you're going to use photographer and photography, or photographers, that kind of thing. So yeah, don't be spammy, be natural, and keep it simple with the image file names.
Her other question was, what is your opinion with Google AdWord campaigns? Is it worth it?
The one thing, whenever I'm thinking about something with SEO, I always, because oftentimes we're very much like our clients, our potential clients. We behave similarly. And I guess I would ask, how many times do we click on an ad on Google?
Right.
I would say I look over it.
Me too. I almost avoid it on purpose. That's a really,
So it's actually something psychological too, in that because we're so inundated with ads, our brains almost automatically skip over them. Unless the ones on Instagram that are real targeted, okay?
Right. And they can be sneaky. And they're so sneaky. I'm like, yes.
Like, you know me, you're watching those, I'm like, okay, those have value. Like, I'm like, because I have definitely been like, oh, I'm going to buy that. Look at that sweater. It looks so cute. I think I need that.
Guilty.
You with the pixel and all that. Yes. So honestly, I think but also I think those do, and I also think, those do really well with like products. Whereas I bet you could do Instagram ads that are targeted like just to engage couples. I haven't played around a ton with that. But yeah, I would say you could try it out. I would say it's not, I like marketing avenues that are free. So, or at least, time is
we like that.
But I'm like, I already have some of my time on it and I'm paying dollar bills. So yeah, I mean, it's you could take a shot at it, but I don't think, and maybe, I think too, they work best with like the way, oftentimes like Facebook ads I've heard work best when like a sale is offered, or it's like think of like kind of like people looking for discounts, like that'll get them to click through potentially, but that may not be your ideal thing with bringing in clients. Yeah, I just know that if I was searching for any sort of service, creative service especially, I would be very hesitant to click on the ads, and I will probably, my brain will skip over them. I think I actually looked up a study, and about 70% of people just skip right over the ads. Their eyes don't even see them. They just see the little ad icon, and it's just, you skip right over it. So I just don't know how much validity there is in those. And I almost think we sort of psychologically understand that those ad spaces are not earned spaces, whereas the first page results on Google beyond the ads, we know people had to work pretty hard to get there. Like if you got your, I don't know, like mashed potato recipe to the first page, it's probably reviewed. It's, it's got a bunch of explanations of things. It has a video on, I mean, they're usually really high quality articles that end up articles or business locations on the first page. And I think we naturally know that that's trustworthy, and hence why we use Google even over many other search engines. We just trust what it puts on its
like anything past page 3. I don't even know it exists. Like if I get to page 3,
even many people don't even get to page 2. But so that'd be kind of my answer. Is I never say anything's like just trash and not to do it. I mean, I know tons of people who are super successful with Instagram. I know people who've done really well with Facebook ads and these different things. They just haven't been ways that I've focused in on. I just got sucked into to SEO and definitely in building relationships with vendors. That's been a big.
Massive.
That's massive.
And talk about backlinks.
Mm-hmm.
And not just building relationships. And then you're providing images to these really incredible vendors. So then they can share their work as well. And it just creates so much goodwill. And then they would share your work and then backlink to you. Yeah,
I would say that it's probably pretty equal from my bookings between Google, and that's probably my 2 big ones is Google and vendor and vendor recommendations, which is awesome because I just booked 2 and they're both at the same venue, both referred from and they're both to each other. They're both like the end of June. And it's really nice to build that. And so I'd say if SEO is overwhelming, like if you can work on vendor relationships, that's probably the other really valuable one.
If you could tell a photographer one thing that they may not be aware of that's a game changer, or that would just save so much time or energy of trying to figure it out, years of experience, you're like, I really wish someone told me this thing when I first got started, what would that thing be?
Outsource what you're really bad at.
Just
don't spend the years to try to fight your own demons. I think there's a value of getting better at some things, but just so I am, as much as I love tech stuff and nerdy stuff, I hate accounting. I hate taxes. Stresses me out. I forget it. I was just like, you know what? And so finding I have this really amazing like accountant CPA team that are just like, I like worship the ground they walk on. They're this married couple and they're so sweet. And I think I've referred like many photographers their way now. They're like, we have a lot of photographer clients because they literally took over everything. They're like my power of attorney. They can call the IRS for me. Like I'll get a letter and I'm like, like I don't know what that is.
You're like
I just like upload it to them and I'm like,
I love you.
I'm like, what does this mean? I don't know. It's scary. And they're like, it's okay. Like we'll go ahead and call them for you. We'll work this out. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. And it's like it's nothing. But I'm just like, I hate letters.
Like don't even know.
Like even when the envelope says IRS, and I'm just like. So I think, there's things you definitely want to get better at. Like I outsourced my editing, but before I did that, I feel like I got very good and consistent with my editing. So then it was something I could hand off. Like there was some things where, I think there is good to kind of find your thing. But and that kind of stuff, if you're really bad at blogging, get an assistant to help put together that stuff for you. Or
I think when you're new too, you're like, no, but I can do it all. And like, we're so like, we are our business and we're so in control of those things. It's hard to give it up. You can't even imagine. So like, this is my business. But especially if you start at the beginning and you put that money away and you budget properly and you charge the amount that maybe you should be charging, like your life will be easier from the beginning. And I feel like if you get into the habit or set that structure right away, you're going to be a happier human being.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Like and not all of that stuff has to be super expensive too. I mean, just accounting and CPA work it's not that much for how many hours it saved me. It's crazy. And just the stress.
Is there anyone in particular or a couple of people you're like, this person's doing incredible work and I really wish Are you on Instagram right now?
I have to pull up Instagram because I have to like remind.
Yeah.
So you know Naba, right? Wildly talented and is so smart and so just such a sweetheart. So yeah, very, very much would give her yeah, a big shout out.
We'll link her also in the notes here.
This person to my friend Cami. She is an SEO student that I was just again so impressed with. Her work is gorgeous, bright, beautiful, and she just super cares about like her clients, and so it's really wonderful getting to know her. I'm just like so happy to know her. She's amazing. I mean, those are probably like the two people that come
to mind really fast.
Come to mind like right off that I'm like these guys. And then of course Gabe Conover, who I mentioned, he's killing it. Beautiful work.
Amazing.
Like and I'm just so impressed that I believe all of those people, you know, are in their early 20s, and they have a smarts and a determination that yeah, I didn't have at that age. I was not doing that stuff. I was like just being a total.
I was knitting. I was learning to knit.
You were
actually. I was knitting. That's what I only could knit scarves and squares. That's it.
I was like going to concerts and had a mohawk. And...
Way cooler than me. And then just finally, if there was one thing you could share, like with the photography industry, if there's someone that's either getting started or been in a long time or just the industry in general, is there something that we haven't talked about? You're like, I really just want to share this.
You know, don't give up. Definitely. This stuff, like it's the up and down days are totally normal. I feel like now, you know, being and going into like my 7th season, things are equalizing, but I had some really big ups and downs, whether it was what I thought about my work or just some days just feel like a failure and that you're not doing all the things. And yeah, so don't give up, but be kind to yourself. There's only so much you can do in a day. Like take time. Like I said, I biked to the gym and got tacos. It's okay. You know, the world will wait. It's all right. You know, I've really been a high stress personality where I feel like I need to do all the things all at once, all the time. And I think just if you work effectively, like just enjoy your life, you know? So, and I know this gets said a lot, but I'll say it again. If you can avoid or pull yourself away from being at all in the comparison game, that is a deadly dark place that will take you dark places. It's one thing to be definitely inspired by what other people do. Absolutely. My whole photography style is molded by everything that I've seen and some people that have really inspired me. But yeah, I think that's one freedom I now have that I wish I would have had earlier on, really detaching from that and really creating for fun. And number one, creating for my clients. You know, I've shot, you know, like 8 weddings, you know, in the past, like, you know, 2 months or whatnot. And I haven't shared one photo to Instagram, and it's not, that's bad. I should share photos for marketing, but I also just don't care. Like it's really like, I feel like I put in all my creativity, and getting that email from a client saying that they're so happy and they've never looked like that, and they just like, they can just really see their family and friends. Like that is such a deeper, more fulfilling place to find what inspires you than potentially getting sucked into, you know, a bit of the app world and that comparison. And I feel like I've really been able to now really let go of that, and it's such a freedom. And I feel like I'm such a better photographer when, you know, I stopped. Yeah, I really now create just for fun, and if no one ever sees it, that's just super fine. Like it's I really don't mind. You know, post Instagram, do marketing. It's a good thing, but you know, that should just be what it is. It's marketing, you know, and not what drives sort of your mission statement or what you really want to find in your business and in your work.
Thank you so, so much for taking time during the really busy part of your season to hang out with us, and just appreciate all your knowledge and just imparting that. And you're awesome.
Yeah, well, feelings likewise. Like what you've done with Pepper and everything, it's so cool to see. I think it's an amazing company and an amazing idea. And thank you so much, so much for having me.